Super excited to be here as we launch NITKonnect 2026 today. My name is Anuj Agrawal, Batch 2003, founder and CEO of Zoin Group, and I am currently leading program design and curation. With the curtain raiser today, we start our journey towards the main event on 21st February 2026. And this event is going to happen at the prestigious Taj Yashwantpur, Bengaluru. And I am looking forward to seeing you all there. The theme this year is about Bharat Unbound, self-reliance through innovation. To set the tone for the launch, I have with me three extremely enthusiastic NITKians who are part of the organizing committee. They will introduce you to NIT Connect. Following that, we have the most awaited discussion of the day on building AI for Bharat, empowering transformation, shaping India's future. And we have the fantastic five of AI from the alumni as our panelists. With this, let's get the ball rolling. I'm happy to introduce Deepak Dhar, Batch 2004, founder of Repute Network and conveyor of NIT Connect 2026, to share the vision and the roadmap of the event. Over to you, Deepak.
Sure. Thanks, Anuj. I hope everybody is able to hear me. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining from all over the world. We are thrilled to announce NIT Connect 2026. Please mark your calendars. NIT Connect 26 will take place on 21st of Feb at Taj Yashwantpur, Bengaluru. So date is almost similar. Venue is the same. We have been working on an exciting lineup of events starting today and culminating with the main event, which is on 21st of Feb 2026. The theme for this year is Bharat Unbound, self-reliance through innovation. But before we get to that, why connect? Why are we even doing this? So we have a common connection through our dear alma mater, which is NITK, still KREC for many. And we are very proud of achievements of so many of our classmates, batchmates, seniors, and juniors. We have unicorns, we have sunicorns, we have a lot of startups, we have people at very senior roles at various places. And we all still want to connect to each other. There's no dearth of intent. It's just that we need probably a platform to connect with a K here. This endeavor is to provide that platform where we can channelize the intent for each one of us to not just meet, greet, exchange connections, but also help each other out to climb the career ladder or to support each other in our startup journeys and taking us through whatever life is throwing at us through this family that we have acquired by being at NITK. Of course, we know the kind of alums we have from NITK. There are people who are thought leaders in their areas. There are people who are running venture capital firms and of multiple CXOs across the companies of that. So we had NIT Connect 25 last year, which was the fourth edition, and we are very thankful to all the people who supported us in that journey and making NIT Connect 2025 a grand success. We shared the video of NIT Connect 2025 earlier. We have had a lot of star speakers over this journey, many of them alums, some from outside as well, who have generously given us their times so that they can come and share their journeys and their experiences with everybody else on that. You can see all the people that have graced the stage at one event or the other during this 4-year journey for us. We also are very grateful and lucky to have the support base from our own alums in terms of sponsorships that we have been receiving over a period of time. We have had Credit B, Capstone, Beehive, who have been the main pillars since the beginning itself and have sponsored multiple events over the years. You can see all the various alum startups who have been supporting us, as well as some of the external startups who find value in the concept, which is NIT Connect, and have been helping us out and supporting the platform. Welcome to NIT Connect 2026, Bharat Unbound, Self-Reliance Through Innovation. So we are expecting 1,500 plus participants this time. Again, there are 300 plus founders, many speakers, and many sessions that are being planned on that. Of course, we would like to continue to have the powerful lineup of keynote speakers. But apart from that, there are going to be CXO panels, founder panels, and multiple breakout areas. We'll be talking about them more later on. We'd also be celebrating the success of 150 plus of our prominent alumni by hosting them over for an exclusive dinner on the 20th of February as part of the CXO dinner on this. We will be talking about some of the other events like Startup Showcase and Career Accelerator later in the program. And we would love to also thank the supporters or sponsors that have already come out for NIT Connect 2026, which is Kia Site, RT Energy, and Viravana. So this is just like the beginning, and we are very thankful that we've already got the support from the alum startups, and we are already in discussion with many more and looking forward to have them on board as well. So anybody here also in the audience, if you would like to contribute in some manner and associate with the platform, please feel free to reach out to us. So that's this year, one of the main events we want to get further is related to how do we create better connections. Last years, we had a lot of sessions where people can engage and people can gain knowledge. But one of the things we wanted was people to be able to find out who else is really attending the event and who can we meet at the event. So we are going to have the app this year. So all the people who are going to sign up are going to get a link to download the app and be able to know who else is attending the event, even schedule meetings with them if they are looking forward to having a discussion with them on some topic on that. So the app is going to get enabled once you have registered for the main event. And not just later on, you can really start networking with people, reaching out people from now onwards itself. And this will help us out over multiple other events that we have planned before the main events, where you can share your preferences, give us your views on things, and also connect to fellow alums who are already registered on that. Again, unveiling NIT Connect 2026, Bharat Unbound, Self-Reliance Through Innovation. The registrations are open. You can visit nitkonnect.com or NIT alum/events, alum.in/events, and do your registration. We will be sharing the link for the registration in the chat as well. Please feel free and begin registration for the main event as well. Look forward to seeing all of you on 21st of Feb at Taj Yeshwantpur. Thank you. Looking forward to the evening and the discussion today.
Hey, thank you so much, Deepak. Very wonderful to hear from you. Looks very exciting. Looks like we are having a very action-packed day on 21st February. But I think there is also a lot more which is happening, and that's where probably I'm gonna talk a little more about someone who is known as Shreyas Tonse, Batch 2010, founder and CEO of Zensible.ai. He is someone who's going to lead the startup showcase for NIT Connect. Shreyas will brief us on what we have for startups in NIT Connect 2026. Over to you, Shreyas.
Thanks, Anuj and Deepak. I hope I'm audible. Hello, everyone. Really excited for today's curtain raiser. We have a stellar panel out here and a great topic, so should be a really interesting conversation. I'm also really excited to introduce the revamped startup showcase as part of NITK 26. So what's new this time? What we want to do is create a renewed vision. And our goal is to really evolve from the single pitch event that we've had in the earlier editions to create something which is a continuous and comprehensive platform for both NITK startups and for angels. If you're a NITK founder, we really want to make this a must apply event. And the how we do it is based on these three pillars that you see on screen. The first one is for a startup, how can we really help you go deeper and wider? In the past, some of the editions have been about recognizing the top five. This time, for any startup that's applying, we want to create tangible value for you. And for every startup that's applying, we want to go really deep and help you with the right access, whether it is to talent, capital, mentorship, or whatever else that you're looking for. The second aspect is we want to create a structured program for angels this time. And that should really lead us to real investments and mentorships to come by. The third aspect of what we're trying to do differently this time is a sustained engagement with which not only do startups and angels connect at NITK Connect, but they also do that before, at the event, and even later. If you can move next. So what's in it if you are a NITK startup, right? The main stage pitch, which we've been having for the last few years, that is still going to be there, of course. But what's new is a concept which we call as the startup pavilion. Think of this as an expo area for our startups. If you're a startup, you have your own booth. You can do product demos there. You can do elevator pitches. And this is also an opportunity for you to connect informally with the rest of the participants. They can be investors, they can be mentors, they can even be other startups. Or even if you're looking to hire, you could have conversations there. Apart from that, we're also trying to help you with curated one-on-one meetings with investors. Deepak spoke about the fact that this time, one of the things that we're doing new is this mobile app. And this mobile app plays in a long way for us to do digital enablement. What we are trying to do on this mobile app that is getting launched very soon is if you're a startup, we will create a startup profile for you. Other participants at NIT Connect, potential angels and investors can take a look at your profile. If they're interested in the idea that you're building, they can book meetings with you. That way you stay connected. So that's what we're doing here. Moving forward, if you're an angel, what we're trying to do is this time we are making it easier than ever before for you to give back and invest. And the way we are doing that is through something called Investor Connect. Investor Connect is an exclusive curated series of pitch sessions that we will do before the main NIT Connect event. And we also help you as angels with a really structured mentorship program and guided connections so that you could interact with some of the startups and really help them grow in their journey. Moving forward to the most important slide, how can you get involved today? If you're a startup, applications are now open. We would want you to scan the QR code on the left and fill out the application form. My recommendation to you, if you're an interested startup today, is join the WhatsApp community. That is where we share updates and really help you on how you can build the application. This is where you get to interact with the other startups. You also get to interact with the organizing committee that will guide you through the process. Moving forward, if you are interested in participating as an angel, the angel interest form is also live. You could scan the QR code on the left to express your interest. And what we are doing for you is there is a WhatsApp community where you could also join. For ease of reference, after this conversation, I'll just share some of these links in the chat. So this is very handy. Now, finally, if you go to the next slide, we want all of you to mark your calendars for 29th of November. 29th is when we will do a deep dive webinar for both startups and for angels, where we cover all of this when it comes to the value proposition for both startups and angels in greater detail. So to conclude, our startups are ready to build, our angels are ready to guide. So let us unite as one NITK community. I'm looking forward to all your participation and support. Thank you. That's all from me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shreyas. I think as a startup from NITK, this seems to be like a game-changing platform. Wow, amazing. As we have talked about Startup Showcase and seems to be very exciting, we have also another platform which is coming up, which is called as Career Connect. And for this, we have Prakash Gupta, batch 2003, founder of Skenzer.earth and leading Career Connect initiative at NIT Connect. To share what is Career Connect and to share what is in store for you, over to you, Prakash.
Thank you. Thank you, Anuj. And hello, everyone. It's great to share what we have got. Last year, we reconnected with old friends and built new relationships. This year, we aim to make those interactions drive greater meaning, right? So, Career Connect's foundation was set up last year, bringing together companies seeking talent and alumni looking for the right opportunities. This year, we aim to truly elevate the experience. So, whether you're a job seeker, a hiring manager, a mid career or senior professional, a startup founder, or CXO, we are here to ensure that every hour you spend on that day truly counts. And just like Startup Connect, we are not just about that day. We engage before the event, connect during the event, and follow through post event. Next, please. So at Career Connect, there would be something for everyone. So if you're a job seeker, a hiring manager, or a recruiter, we aim to offer focused conversations. If you're a mid career professional, we engage senior executives and CXOs to help you navigate the uncertainties in through curated roundtables and match you with the right mentor and help you with greater clarity in the career. Next, please. And for everyone who's unsure about how relevant skills are evolving, we are partnering with skilling partners to help you with personalized upskilling journey. So you know what skills to learn, how it aligns to your career, and how you can actually truly leverage this platform to kind of take your career to the next level. And finally, the most interesting part for senior professionals and executives, as Deepak and Anuj touched upon, we curate roundtables with aligned interest, which can evolve into deeper conversations and collaborations. Next, please, Anuj. So, to conclude, we aspire to create tangible value for every participant at Career Connect, enabling the participants to get a job referral, finding a mentor, exploring relevant career roadmap, a collaborator, or even a client, even a next client. So, as a next step, we invite all of you to join the WhatsApp group with the QR code on the screen, and we'll be sharing more details on that. Thank you.
Thank you
Back
so
to you,
much.
Anuj.
Thank you so much, Prakash. I think very, very interesting initiative. It's not just gonna help people get jobs, upgrade their careers. It's also gonna help organizations hire. Hiring managers are looking to hire talent. Organizations and companies, they aspire to attract NITK talent, and this is gonna be the right platform for this. So amazing stuff. I think uh, it does look like we have stored a lot of action for the day for NIT Connect 2026. And so, folks, what are you waiting for? Just click the link on the chat, start registering for the most exciting and the largest alumni event in the country. I'll take a little pause for people to have a look at the link, start registering, or maybe we shouldn't. I think we have the most interesting part of the platform, which we are calling as the curtain raiser. We have the most important discussion of the day, where we have some of the best leaders in the AI space talking about what is stored, how do we make AI for Bharat, and this is the core topic which we have in hand: building AI for Bharat, empowering transformation, shaping India's future. And I'll take you through the introduction of our speakers. I'll start with our moderator, Jayant. Jayant is a 96 batch. He's a veteran of over 25 years in AI. Jayant heads Accenture Applied Intelligence Group, and previously he led Wipro Global Data and AI practice. He has witnessed and influenced AI revolution or evolution from the early days to the current mainstream, guiding Indian talent to build world-class AI systems. Next, we have Amit Kapoor, Vice President, Applied AI Data and Analytics at Lowe's India. He's from 1995 batch with over 20 years of experience in data product leadership. Amit heads AI Data and Analytics at Lowe's India. He's the driving force behind technology, innovation, and shaping the future of applied AI in enterprise settings. And what more, we have even Raghavendra Narayan. He's Director Engineering Tech AI Platform at McDonald. McDonald has recently formed a GCC in India. He's from 2000 batch. He's a visionary tech leader Raghvendra brings 25 years of experience driving engineering innovation at companies like Google, Amazon, Walmart, and Flipkart. Currently, he is spearheading McDonald's core AI platform, which he has shaped retail and e-commerce transformation globally, and is now gonna channeling his expertise to architect scalable AI framework vital for India's digital future. Next, we have Avinash Atreya from 2004 batch. He's a distinguished engineer in Meta Super Intelligent Labs. At Meta, Avinash leads next generation AI search platforms after 14 years of time at Google, where he worked in transforming the Google search through vector based retrieval and large scale AI deployments. His innovations are foundations to modern search and AI systems used globally today. Next, we have Ketan Muda, youngest of all our panelists, 2012 batch. He is Director Retail Intelligence at Walmart US. Ketan leads Walmart enterprise-wide AI transformation, harnessing intelligence to optimize operations and empower million associates. Alumnus of NITK Suratkal and UT Austin, he is recognized for building AI systems that boost productivity and advocate ethical human-centric AI that bridges technology and impact. Yeah, so I think I'm probably done. I think it's time that Jayant takes over the stage and drives the conversation which all of us are waiting for to understand and take it forward. Over to you, Jayant.
Thank you so much, Anuj. I'm really honored and thrilled to be moderating this esteemed panel. I don't think we could have asked for a better topic, right, for a curtain raiser. Building AI for Bharat, empowering transformation and shaping India's future. You will hear about AI all the time. Just to share some facts, a Golden Sachs report about a year back said that AI could drive almost about 7% equivalent of $7 trillion increase in global GDP. And this can also have a knock-on impact of productivity growth of about 1.5 percentage points in a span of about 10 years. If you look at what's happening closer home, I don't know how many of you had a chance to look at the recent Niti Aayog report that says that AI can add about $1.7 trillion to India's economy or India's GDP by 2035. Staggering facts, staggering numbers. The impact of AI is palpable and the future is really promising. And I'm really excited to be moderating this panel. This really brings me to my first question. And who better to answer this question than Amit? Amit, we've seen several fascinating technologies emerge in our lifetime. And I'm talking about lifetime because you and I are probably the oldest here from a batch perspective. You're 95, I'm 96, right? We've seen the internet, we've seen digital, we've seen blockchain, we've seen industry 2.0, 3.0. However, no technology has scorched the world's imagination as AI has done. So, what do you think makes AI so special?
Yeah, great question to start with, Jayant, and old is gold. That's what I will start with. However, first of all, I would say thank you to, I think, Anuj, Deepak, and the entire NIT Connect team for having me part of this panel. It's great to be here between, some of the older college mates. Going back to your questions, Jayant, I think, AI is not new. I think, within our organization also, we have been leveraging AI for a very long time, right? Actually, if you look at the word AI, right, the word AI was coined sometime in 1956 when, we started to talk about AI. And it has evolved over a period of time, from a rule-based, from a prescriptive and predictive, technology. The significant change happened, I feel, in November of 2022, right, when AI started to create things. Prior to that, it was something where, you need to have a data scientist, you need to have really somebody who understands the technology very deep for you to really find something as a use. And I'll share some of the examples from the recent, interactions with our business teams, right? So earlier, whenever you used to go to the business teams and say, oh, we need to build this data science capability, or, we can help you do this, right? The response had been, we know our business, you build something, you try it out, but don't come to us. and we can solve our problems. However, after, this became so mainstream with, OpenAI launching it in the public domain, everybody got a chance to, work with AI. And today, I think it is, no secret that all of us have these smaller apps in our smartphones where we can interact with AI. So I would say, what is making it so special as we speak first, you can create, you can reason, you can analyze with the technology today, which earlier you were not able to do. Secondly, this is a technology, right, which is different from the earlier technology. You will build a technology earlier and you will, it will listen to you. You will say, do this and it will do that, right? But today, this technology is learning on its own, with human in the loop and other tools, you're making the technology learn and adapt to the situation. Third, it is really cutting across the industries. It is not for one particular industry. I come from retail, healthcare, finance, consumer goods. You name an industry, I think the impact is so wide and all the industries are adopting it. So I feel, Jayant, it is closing the gap between human and machine thinking, in terms of, language, in terms of emotion, in terms of tone, in terms of interaction. I think slowly we have seen that, the technology is understanding, and that's one thing which is making it so special. Second, I think it's not about what it does. It's about what it lets us do with the technology, right? That's the second thing I would say what makes it so special. And last thing I would say, we are standing at a point where humanity and machine intelligence are beginning to co-evolve. And this is what it makes it so thrilling, but also so unsettling, right? And that's where all the questions around ethical use and all that goes around. So I feel these few things is what makes it so special, Jayant.
Thanks, Amit. Great thoughts. I love the fact on the learning part and co-evolution part. Ketan, is there anything that you would want to add to what Amit said?
Yes, thanks for that, Jayant. First off, let me start off with a shout out to all the organizers and my fellow panelists. I think a lot of us here have helped organize events in the past, including maybe engineer incident. We all know how time consuming and it takes a lot of effort. So thank you for that. Coming to what makes AI so special, Jayant, it's not just another wave of technology. It's a force multiplier for human potential, right? It learns, adapts, and improves on its own, like Amit was just saying. And that's the first in technological history, right? It can discover patterns that we cannot see, and it can make decisions that we did not code, right? On top of that, it is super fast and incredibly easy to use for pretty much everybody, right? When OpenAI launched ChatGPT in November 2022-ish, right? There was no manual or anything as such. We all just jumped right in, right? And we started using it for research, for writing, for coding. That kind of instant adoption is unprecedented. And we are seeing this transform a lot of companies around the world. What I like about it is it takes the routine things out of our work and it challenges us to think more strategically. It brings more of ourselves to the table, to what we do, our creativity, our judgment, our empathy. On the flip side, biases as well. But so basically AI doesn't just automate what we do, it amplifies who we are. It's changing how we think, decide, and imagine the future as well. So that's what makes it so special for all of us.
So great points. This brings me to a thought and maybe a second question. And maybe Avinash, I'll ask you this question, right? And Amit made a reference to it about AI not being new. It's been existing since the 50s and the 60s. And I don't know how many of you know this. We all went through what was called as an AI winter. So there was a time when AI was supposed to be shut down because it didn't have the right impact and the right stakeholders. Some of you mentioned, or both of you mentioned, the watershed moment of ChatGPT being launched by OpenAI. So they say that the time for AI is now, and I would say that it's never been now; it's always been there. So what, in addition to the November 2022 Chat GPT launch, is making AI more mainstream? It's making it more inclusive, Avinash.
Yeah, thank you, Jayant, and it's great to be here. And thanks to the organizers. As all of you have mentioned, I think it's been around for a while, right? People have been thinking about these ideas for a long time, but there are several factors that make it fundamentally different, right? So if you go through the trajectory of the 60s and 70s and 80s, these models have gone from training on hundreds, thousands, millions to billions of examples. These days, we train these foundation models on 10 trillion tokens. You can think of a token as a way that the model basically represents a fragment of a word. And that is an enormous amount of data, which was unfathomable, even if even 2 decades back when some of the foundations were being laid, right? So as these disciplines evolved, as we called it, machine learning and various other names, all the modalities remained separate. We would think of text as one discipline, computer vision was a separate discipline, speech processing was separate, natural language processing, which understood text. They all kind of grew separately as things where people did lots of specialized things to understand those. Today's foundation models, even though they're called language models, they can actually represent and deal with all of the modalities at once. They can understand text, they can understand image, and they can output speech, right? And so there is something unifying about being able to understand all of the modalities in which we actually interact as humans, and all of those being done by a foundation model, by a single model, not as separate disciplines. The other thing that's important, I mentioned, the scale of the data. These models are essentially trained on the entire output of humanity on the internet, right? Everything that we know about the world, everything that we understand about the world, everything that we produce that's on the internet is what actually they're trained on. So it is not only the intelligence is emerging from digesting all of this information, right? And to do that, what you need is a scale of compute that was staggering, right? So some of the breakthroughs of training these not just on a single GPU, which was previously used for graphics, but thousands and thousands of them in data centers today, where companies spend gigawatts of power running these GPUs, like as much as some small countries. So the scale of compute is what makes it possible to consume all of this data and to deal with all the modalities all at once, which is important, right? The other thing that's happened is, as we had improvements, there were always parallel developments with people saying, I'm going to work on A, you're going to work on B. Now there's a certain convergence of the stack. Everyone's essentially working on very similar technologies, and there's an arms race, which means we are making fundamental progress faster, right? And the other thing which Ketan mentioned is, today's AI is instructable, right? Like anyone who's not an expert, Amit alluded to this as well, can go and say, this is actually what I want done. So you don't have to know how to spin up a model or have any capability necessarily. So all of these, I think, makes this moment different and stand out. This doesn't mean that there won't be a downturn. This doesn't mean that there won't be disappointments along the way. This may or may not be the technology that takes us to the foundation, to the promised land. But I think this is fundamentally different from the previous waves of AI for all the reasons that I mentioned.
Yeah, fantastic. Raghavendra, you've been in the forefront of many of these innovations. So would you want to add something to what Avinash said?
Sure, Jay. And first of all, equally loud shout out to the NITKonnect team. And it's a real honor to be actually here and talking to all of you. Yeah, so what Avinash said, if I were to take two, the key takeaways, right? One, he talked about actually massive computer power and specialized hardware, which kind of evolved over the years, like from 1950s or 60s, if you look at all the way to 2020s. So this is a space which actually evolved a lot. And then second is the AI models and the deep learning models are they're particularly like data hungry, which means that they need massive amount of data to train and start like very close to the human brain, right? And this kind of actually evolved with the rise of big data, the IoT and the digitalization of a lot of the data actually kind of helped in basically training these models, and they started actually evolving. And even before November 2022, when ChatGPT was launched, right? So this the breakthrough of transformer, which happened, I think, roughly around 2017, it's kind of actually like spearheaded this generative AI and some of the AI revolution over the like past few years, right? And now, why this AI actually now for Bharat in the Bharat context? Jayant, as you mentioned earlier, like the Niti Aayog kind of actually mentioned in its report that AI is going to fill the gap of the 8+% growth which is required for India to be Viksit Bharat by 2047. So this is kind of actually very important because like to achieve this goal, now is the time actually for the AI to basically play in that role. And just to add one more, the research actually which came from IIT Madras is that I think it was IIT Madras, but more than 90% of the Indian users prefer to interact with the mobile devices or like any of the computer systems in the local language. So we have around 22 scheduled languages, and it becomes very important that like we take this the advances which are actually happening in the AI space and help build those the gaps which are actually required for India to basically achieve its goal of the Viksit Bharat, right? So it becomes actually super important, and can't wait for the years which are actually ahead, and can't wait to see more innovation. What is going to actually happen actually from India?
So, Raghavendra, you make a very interesting point here on the research from IIT Madras. I mean, I've read that too. 90% users, and I had an opportunity to meet Professor Balram, who was spearheading this research. And he did say that 90% of people prefer to interact with an AI model, which I found was staggering and unbelievable because we love to speak to humans. And you make a very pertinent point about Bharat being in the forefront. Now, Bharat has always been at the forefront of any tech services revolution. We've been the services engine room, and as we, as the AI wave, or rather, I would call it the AI tsunami, catches on. How do we combine the unique positioning that we have in the services industry and with the potential that we have as a nation? We spoke about data, we spoke about the whole diverse demography, and we spoke about the billions of users that are there in India. In fact, most of the AI providers today, whether it is a Perplexity or whether it's an OpenAI, talk about India being their second largest market other than the US. So how do we bring this combined strength of our services industry, the demographic diversity, the untapped market, and such a large user base to really offer something unique to the world?
Yeah, a very good point, Jayant. I think we have all been talking about this, like the leaders in the tech and the industry, right? Specifically in India. How do we basically leverage our tech strength to basically like build more of this AI, right? And AI for Bharat as well. So there are two things. One, I mean, we have tremendous talent. I think we are the second largest the tech talent pool for any of the tech innovations to happen. Every tech company is actually looking to tap into this, and we have the experience, decades of experience in delivering this the tech as a service, right? So with a lot of GCCs. Now there is a GCC 2.0 wave which is happening throughout India, and many companies, the tech companies, and even the industries are actually coming and trying to setting up the offices here. So we have tremendous talent pool. Now, can we become like from being actually like being in the services to creator of this AI model? Yes, we can, right? So there are like initiatives like AI for Bharat and Bharat GPT, which is already kind of taking shape. And at some point of time, we will definitely actually start producing those. Now, for me, there is no doubt about this because everyone wants India to produce more and more AI models than actually just consume that. But for me, to be successful in the AI space for India, to create more jobs and also to take the advantages of the AI for the Bharat use cases, it is equally important for us to start taking this the technology to the industries and the businesses so that actually they can start leveraging. So now, how do we do that? as you rightly mentioned, so we are the diverse demographic population. We have a unique culture. We have multiple languages, which is kind of unique. And when you look at some of these global models, where when I have been like trying hands-on some of these leading AI models, a lot of things fail in the Indian context because they are not ready to be like consumed as is. Now there are multiple things. One is the demography and the diverse part that we are talking about. Then there is also a cultural bias, right? So this is something which is very important for the evaluation of AI in India. Removing this cultural bias, training the models actually with all the data, diverse data that actually we have is equally important. For us to like from thinking from tech services industries to creator of the AI model, I think it's also equally important to create a model for the Indian use cases which can actually help, right? And then there is a cost factor. Probably we can discuss that later in detail. AI has to be an affordable AI. Today we are talking about the GPUs and TPUs, and the pricing is actually not suitable for the India. When it comes to the consumption of these models in a cutthroat market and in a low labor cost market like India, adding anything additional expense is going to like take away from the margin, right? So this is where like we need to think differently from not only creator of the AI models, but also how do we actually consume these AI models and how do we basically take it to them while working with various the large conglomerates and the retail and e-commerce companies in India. This is something that I have seen that adoption kind of actually becomes a little slow because of various challenges which I just described, right? And then the responsible AI and the data governance and all of these governance AI governance aspects are also like equally important. That is something which we need to do to move beyond being just a tech services industry to the AI global power.
And maybe I'll probably get Amit's views on it. Amit is delivering AI for at least the US, if not the world, from India. And Amit would like to know from you in terms of how are you bringing in some of the learnings that you have from the India context and adopting that to the kind of AI work that you do and serve Lowe's.
Yeah, Raghavendra gave a brilliant reply. I'll just add a little bit to that, from my perspective, Jayant. So I feel, the opportunity that we have as a country here right now is immense, right? Currently, we do have the skills, right? We are delivering for the world right now. We're building this technology for the world, and if you look at, the history, for last, I would say almost 25 plus years we have been the engine, right? Multiple times, Y2K, digital transformation. We have always powered any major transformation that has happened, right? This is also one of the largest waves. And, we have the skill, we have the scale, and we also have the need in our country, right? To serve our fellow countrymen. So from being called a IT services provider, I feel, instead of being calling a AI service provider, to what I think Raghavendra said, we can probably become the AI lab and provide AI as a service, right? And for that, we definitely, have certain things, in our arms. One, we definitely have the skills, English speaking, population that we have. With so much work that I think we are doing for the globe, I think there is a extremely talented domain expert pool that we have, which is very much needed, to train the models, to govern the models, right, and to co-create these, models for the world, right? We can't create this in isolation. There has to be a co-creation that needs to be done. And I think the last part then I will say, AI building these models, creating these models is also very expensive, right? And we definitely know how do we optimize, how do we bring that efficiency, how can we experiment being cost conscious, right? So a combination of all this provides us to be the AI lab for the world, not only for our country.
Great point. AI lab for the world. This makes me think about a very interesting point that Raghavendra made as well. In terms of what's happening in India, Amit, you made several points in terms of some of the initiatives that are being run from India. We've been pioneers in several initiatives, and some of these have been adopted by the world. If you look at our whole digital payments, the whole Aadhaar part, the direct benefit transfer, a lot of these were developed indigenously by the tech companies here. We've had platforms that were built here, which we have taken to the world. In when it comes to AI, what we actually see is the West and even China have been investing rather heavily in model building, training, and you spoke about the cost that it takes, AI infrastructure. But in India, we've always been seen as adopters of something that was built elsewhere. We've seen as building on top of research that somebody else did. I know that there are initiatives that we spoke about in terms of, Bharat GPT and so on and so forth. What do you think we should do to be Atmanirbhar? Because Atmanirbharta is also a big theme of Viksit Bharat. So, first of all, do you think that we should try to be Atmanirbhar, completely Atmanirbhar in the AI space? Or should we kind of have a hybrid model of adopting something from what's already happened in the West and building on top of it? If either one of it is true, or maybe both of them is true, what are some of the initiatives that we must take as a nation to achieve it? So maybe Ketan, let me ask you this question, given you've seen quite a few evolutions, and you're working with some of the leading edge AI work that's happening currently.
For sure, Jan. So, if AI for Bharat is the vision, then AI Atmanirbharta or self-reliance must be the mission, right? In any nation's AI strength depends on its control over the models, the compute data, and also, last but not least, the governance, right? Like you rightly said, Jayant, the US and China dominate today because they own their entire AI value chain, right from their chips to the cloud to their algorithms, right? For Bharat, the path forward is definitely Atmanirbhar AI. It's got to be self-sufficient yet globally connected. We've done this before with UPI, with Aadhaar, like DBT, like you were mentioning. Now it's time to extend that success to AI. Now, coming to how to do that, I think it will unfold across four steps really, with increasing order of difficulty, in my opinion. First is we've got to have indigenous models and applications. Today, most global AI models are trained on Western data and it is shaped by Western context. I think Raghavendra was alluding to that a little earlier. The global models don't capture India's diversity. We need applications that are trained and built on on Bharatiya data, right? It needs to understand our dialects, our cultural contexts, the dozens and dozens of languages. What works brilliantly in San Francisco or Shanghai need not always work in Suratkal or Shivamogga, right? So an AI system, when it can interpret a farmer's voice query in, let's say, Tulu, when it can analyze a health worker's note in Konkani, or when it can tutor a student in Kannada, that's when AI will truly understand Bharat, right? And that's first step towards AI, towards Bharat being self-sufficient in AI. Second one, I think Avinash alluded to this a little earlier. We need the physical infrastructure. Uh, in today's geopolitical context, we are seeing that semiconductors and chips, they are quite literally shaping global trade and supply chains. It's defining power either for companies or for countries across the world. Um, India has already started off in the right direction. It started off semiconductor manufacturing, and it's the right mission. Great start. We've got to keep building on top of that momentum. Um, a true AI independence will require owning the entire compute stack, right? Our GPUs, our data centers, our clouds, and it can be best leveraged through strong public-private partnerships. We can have national research clusters across NITs, across IITs, across various other reputed universities. Uh, Now, the third thing, which is also difficult, is energy self-sufficiency. AI is immensely energy intensive, right? Global tech giants, they're already exploring building their own dedicated power grids. They also want their own nuclear power plants only to power AI. right? It's a lot in demand. For Bharat to scale sustainably, we must pair AI ambition with clean, reliable, and self-reliant energy systems that power the compute future. Now, last but not the least, policy and governance. Now, India has taken giant steps forward on this front. I think in 2015-ish, we were ranked 142 in global ease of doing business rankings by World Bank. In 2020, it was 63. Right? We need to have that agility extend to AI regulation, to data stewardship, and to ethical deployment. We need AI friendly policy frameworks that lower the entry barrier for startups, right? It needs to ensure trust, data privacy, and accountability. So, if we build strength across these four pillars, Giant, on models, on infrastructure, on energy, and policy, we will not just be AI ready, we will be AI resilient and globally competitive. To wrap it up, India shouldn't just use others' AI. It should build AI that the world wants to use. And I think we should go there.
I love the passion, Ketan. One thing that I loved was your reference to the fact that you want a model to understand what's said in Kannada, Tulu, Konkani. So, as they say, you can take us out of Suratkal or KREC, but you can't take KREC out of us. So, kudos to you. So, the three languages that work there, of course, the rest as well. I wanted to actually ask Avinash a point on this. You made the 4 points which were brilliant, and we're going to cover some of these in our subsequent discussions. But there was a point that struck with me was the whole AI data center and clean energy. Huge amount of investments going into India. We heard some organizations, taking giant leaps in setting up data centers. We know that the global VDs are setting data centers out here. So, and mostly pivoted around AI. So, Avinash, what's your take in terms of the fact that a lot of AI data centers are going to be set up in India? Is that like the first step towards self-reliant or a Atmanirbhar AI? And maybe we should find a nice Sanskrit name for AI. Don't call it AI, right? So Atmanirbharta for AI, Atmanirbhar Bharat for AI sounds a little odd. So we should call it Atmanirbhar uh, something for Bharat. And that maybe that's a question to the audience if they can come with some great suggestions on some nice Sanskrit name for AI.
Yeah, Jayant, Ketan made a lot of excellent points, right? I think in investment in infrastructure, data centers, and power for these data centers is kind of where it starts, right? I think that's very foundational. Taking a step back, though, I think it's not just self-reliance for the sake of it, but I think if AI turns out to be half as important as what we all believe it is going to be, it's going to be really critical for national security and defense and for our other industries, right? So we're all talking about how everybody should adopt AI. Our industry should be transformed with everyone using AI to do their jobs. And if all of these technologies that people are using to do their jobs are all built and controlled by other countries, you're essentially dependent on them, and they can decide when they can turn off the access to you, and they control your fate, right? This is happening now in the US-China arms race. US has basically banned the sale of really critical chips to China, and China has had to find a lot of workarounds, right? And Taiwan is not just strategically important for historical reasons for China; they are important because they are basically the fab for the whole world, right? So, to the degree that India can make investments in semiconductor manufacturing, in data centers, like we are obviously not energy rich, right? We are definitely energy poor. We have to balance the needs of these data centers with the needs of our people and everything else we could do with that power. But that's basically where it starts, right? So for all the reasons people mentioned, it has to work with what people are comfortable with. It has to work for their needs. It has to work in a way that people can start relying on it without fear that it will be taken away if it suits somebody else's convenience. I think this is very critical for long-term national interest and security.
So that's some excellent points that you make, Avinash. I wanted to shift gears a little bit here and talk from being Atmanirbhar. I think we all vehemently agree that there has to be Atmanirbharta in this space. So I don't think there's any doubt about it. So let me shift gears and talk about applications and adoption. I'm sure a lot of us have read this survey from MIT, which said that 95% of generative AI pilots fail to deliver measurable business impact or ROI. And it also mentioned that the high rate of failure was not because of technology, but because of human-centric and implementation challenges as well. So, do you agree? And do you agree that uh, there is disappointment with AI, and there is lower levels of adoption than what people thought it could do? Is it because there's a lot of hype around it? Can you tell us from your experiences, what are some of the challenges around AI adoption, and how does one overcome these challenges? So, Amit, you worked extensively on developing AI applications for businesses and probably even getting businesses to adopt it. So tell us some of the challenges that you faced in addition to what MIT says. Anything else that you heard, anything else that you experienced, and what is the means by which you have overcome that to drive adoption and hence realize value?
Yeah, I think, adoption thing started coming out when Gen AI came in, right? Prior to that, I think all of us were, leveraging AI in some form or shape. Be it our, if you go to online, your personalization, recommendation, stacking, for workforce, you're using for marketing. So for everything, I think large organizations were already building, capabilities, leveraging data science, and there were also various nomenclatures people were using, right? Somebody calling machine learning, data science. I don't know, Avinash or Ketan, you spoke about computer vision, right? So multiple versions existed, and adoption was never spoken about. But then, when generative AI came in, there was so much surge within large organizations to say that we want to solve each and every problem through generative AI because technology became really, really easy and usable. And you could just use prompts to solve problems. And everybody wanted to learn also. So there was so much excitement about leveraging this new technology. One, from the perspective of solving problems, but also from a learnability. People just wanted to make sure that they can learn. So from a statement perspective, right, Jayant, what you said, like 95% of the time, I don't know, how much of that number probably, from adoption perspective is true, but I'll share from my experience on what we have seen. So one thing that we have definitely seen is lack of problem statement and a solution fit, right? Uh, People said we need to build a GenAI solution, not the other way, right? We have a problem and see what's the best way to solve for it. It went the other way. We will choose the technology and the solution, and then we will go and do the fitment with any problem just to, checkbox saying we have leveraged, AI for solving this problem, right? So that probably was one of the reasons you start on a wrong foot, and then, probably that's not the right solution. And that obviously business will say, we already have a solution. What you are giving us probably doesn't work for us. So that's first. Secondly, we know that AI works on the data, right? You give it junk data, it is going to give you the junk output, right? And generative AI most of the times was leveraging all the organizational data which is available in your documents, PDFs, all of that was served into either using your RAG architectures or some very few, but some of the people also try to fine tune, retrain, but there are very, very few. When you do that, right, if the data is not correct, obviously the output is not going to be there. So there was also a mindset change that had to happen, that initially when you start to work with these models, your accuracy and your outputs are going to be only at 40, 50, 60%, and it is an iterative process. It's not that you build an application, you deploy, and boom, it works. You may have certain issues or defects, but it'll work, right? So that was the second piece, where you give it some data and you expect business to adopt it. I don't think that happened. Third thing, which is I think very, very important and extremely important in my head, is the change management. With AI, if you are solving a particular problem, I would say 60 to 70% of your overall AI engagement part goes into, your change management, because you are reimagining a lot of things in terms of how you operate within the organization, right? If you're using data in a certain way, all of that gets automated, all of that changes, your business process changes, your human element within that changes. And you also sometimes have, conflict of interest in terms of people who are going to adopt that particular technology. They think, what is this going to do later on to my job, right? So there are a lot of questions that come in. So you have to reimagine that entire process. And I would say technology probably goes only 20 to 30% of the overall change, and rest is, the entire change management. And then last piece, which is, I know we touched upon it briefly earlier also in this, discussion, is your AI governance and ethics, right? You might do everything right, but then, if you haven't taken care of these things upfront in terms of, and especially in large organizations, right? Um, when you're launching something which is customer facing, consumer facing with Gen AI, just with one single question, it can go wrong, right? And so your AI governance, AI ethics, all of that has to be looped in and vetted as this goes along, right? And then this has to be done continuously. You ignore any of these three or four things, which I feel are critical, you will see that you will fall into that 95% bracket, right? So that, I think that's the point of view. And despite doing all of this, you probably will still face challenges. Not everything is going to succeed. So you will have to fail fast so that you can recover and then take the right direction. That's how I think that's where probably this 95% is coming out, Jayant.
No, well, I mean, it's a staggering number, but loved some of the points you made in terms of the problem statement and the solution fit. I say that AI tends to be that hammer that is looking for nails. It should be the
Yes.
other way around, right? You have a nail to hammer,
Yes.
so you find the right hammer. But here everybody's trying to use a sledgehammer called AI to even
Yeah.
hit the smallest nails. Raghvendra, you're working extensively on applications of AI in several firms that you have. So, would love your perspectives on what should people, organizations do to drive AI adoption and not get carried away by this 95% failure rate that it's probably caught headlines in many ways.
Yeah, sure. I think Abhi covered a lot of things already. But I want to just bring one good example, right? So when you are asking for a Sanskrit name for artificial intelligence, I thought let me play around with one of the leading LLM model and then ask for a few suggestions. And one of the suggestions which came was Kritrima Buddhi, right? So I mean that kind of actually shows the lack of data and lack of the cultural context, right? So Kritrima Buddhi, if you want to call in your application, I'm part of a Kritrima Buddhi team. So definitely does not sound right. So we already talked about some of this, the cultural, the diverse perspective, which is required actually in the data, right? The training data and so on. So those are some of the adoption challenges, not going to go over that again. But from an organization point of view, there are like a lot of untapped areas within the AI and generative AI, right? When ChatGPT actually kind of made this generative AI popular, it was always about generating good content, like very beautiful, cheesy content and whatnot, however you want it. So the companies basically started focusing only on those areas, which like I would call, if I were to break this into two sets of use cases, one is the transformative part of the AI or a generative AI, right? Now, what is this transformative part? Transformative part is like content generation, summarization, and whatnot. The organization started using them for like acquiring the new customers, personalization, like building better content, and so on, which kind of directly maps to the top line, like on the acquisition part of an organization's goal. But what is not tapped so far, which is kind of a hidden gem, and now some of the companies have started realizing when we started working with them in the past year or so, is on the optimization part. So now while the transformative part maps to the top line of a company, the optimization kind of actually touches the bottom line. So when you have to optimize, there are many things that you can use, like maybe as part of your supply chain, maybe as part of your procurement, and various part of a industry value chain to improve the bottom line, right? So that is something which the companies have not tapped on. And once the businesses start looking at that, the CFO's main goal is to basically improve the profitability. Once the organization start the understanding the importance of AI and the impact of it on the bottom line, you will start seeing a lot of things actually changing, right? So that's something which is currently lacking is actually what I feel. And yeah, I mean these are the two things that can actually like completely change it. And as Amit mentioned, when it comes to AI, garbage in, garbage out. Maybe you have a glorified garbage, but it's still a garbage, right? So your data and the data governance is also like equally important. When this 95% or whatever that number is, they started basically building the AI. They jumped into like the AI race of actually building something really cool. But what they did not actually get it right was the foundational part of it, which is the data foundation. So unless you have the data foundation right, your AI foundation will go wrong. And this is what basically led to that. And one last point I want to add, this is particularly important for India and also in the Western countries, where in the industries where earlier I mentioned about the wafer thin margin on the profitability. Like if you're adding AI and AI adds more cost and they don't see the ROI, then it becomes actually extremely difficult. So one of the areas that actually like we have seen work happening is actually on the edge AI, where you start building the smaller models, which are very the task specific ones. Maybe they do only one or two tasks, but those models can be run on the edge computing or even a regular CPU, because GPUs and TPUs, they're pretty expensive and they're not priced for countries like India or any of the developing market. And adoption of that, even taking the technology to this business, while they are like great, it becomes very difficult because at the end of the day, it hits the bottom line. And these are the areas where we need to see the improvement. We need to see the research coming out. Probably like India can actually play that part in building this small language models and on the edge computing or the CPUs and so on, which can actually help in growing the adoption.
You make some great points. I think, if I summarize the conversations that both Amit and you had here, I would say change, business alignment, data platforms, drive successful AI implementations. I wanted to build a little bit on the governance piece because it's come up a couple of times. So my question on that is, this technology has been seen as a risky technology. I mean, there's dual use. I mean, we've seen dual use of this technology. Deepfakes are becoming a reality. You know that there've been enough and more deepfakes that have been created of actors, actresses, CEOs on web calls, which has obviously been a huge concern. There's also the whole issue of hallucination because some of these large language models do not give you the right kind of output. And some of these risks have been flagged by several nations, including Bharat. So, what do you think should be done? And I believe that not only are these risks because they obviously impact the nation, impact the organizations that use AI, but it also diminishes trust. So, what do you think we should do to safeguard against the risks of AI? So, Ketan, if you can help us, give your perspectives on how do we safeguard, identify, and safeguard ourselves from the risks of AI, that could be awesome.
That's a very important question, Jayant. Every major technology brings both promise and peril, right? But with AI, the stakes are so much more higher because it's autonomous, it's adaptive, and it's agile. It takes decisions on our behalf, right? So that's why it's a technology that's very important to be used the right way. In my experience, what I've seen, the unintended consequences, at least, they don't come from the technology itself. They come from unexamined data, they come from poor design, they can come from weak governance. To safeguard against these risks, we can focus on three key areas. One's bias and fairness. AI learns from largely human data, right? And human data carries human bias. Um, we've seen 60% of leading AI image generation models show gender or racial bias. This is just the tip of the iceberg, right? Facial recognition systems, even today, show an error rate of around 1% for light skinned men and 35% for dark skinned women, right? Another simple example, and this can be an activity for all of us, including the audience, right? You choose your model, your image generation model, and you try to create something as simple as a person sitting on a desk writing with their left hand. I've been trying this for more than a year. I've not been successful yet. This is because the training data underrepresents left-handed individuals, right? So if an AI model can't do something like this correctly, then you can imagine the bias that it will introduce into hiring, into lending, into law enforcement, into various other applications, right? So that's why it becomes even more important for India to have an India-centric fairness framework which reflects its linguistic, cultural, and social realities and not just Western norms. And then, secondly, we need to look at privacy and accountability. Uh, we, we- we've, we've seen AI systems move from screens to the physical world. We have drones armed with weapons, right? We have robot dogs fitted with flamethrowers. Now, these developments raise a fundamental question: who is accountable when AI acts autonomously? Right? Which is why we need to have strong accountability structures. I think Amit was referencing to it a little earlier. Um, it when these AI systems influence people's lives in healthcare, finance, governance, right? It's got to be auditable, explainable, and reversible as much as possible. What Walmart also does very well is it has a human in the loop for almost all the AI systems that's there, right? So, which is why they will still be ultimately responsible. Last but not least, governance and guardrails. They're very important. I think Raghavendra was mentioning about guardrails a little earlier. We need to have maybe as high level standards as aviation safety for AI, right? We need to have a mix of regulation, self audit, and transparency. Right now, only 10% of companies globally have an established AI risk or ethics board. So Bharat's industries and government must collaborate to create very clear boundaries and to ensure that AI is deployed ethically and securely. It's no longer optional, right? Responsible AI is a strategic necessity, and that's how Bharat can also lead on these fronts by building accountable and human-centric AI that the entire world can trust.
So that's a fantastic point. That's a fantastic point. I know we've had several more questions for you folks, but I'm told that with this rich conversation, our audience is also itching to really ask us a few questions. So we can continue this conversation. I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to do so in NIT Connect, where we can physically come together and have more of these conversations. I'm going to have one last question for this panel before we move to the Q&A. And I'll be looking at the Q&A as well. This is a question on workforce, because no AI is really complete without speaking about a lot of layoffs that have happened in the recent past, and several of them have been attributed to AI. Now, is it necessarily true that all of these layoffs have been because of AI? So, what do you think? Is the AI summer going to cause employment winter? Raghavendra would love to hear your views on this.
Yeah, sure. I don't mean we are running all the time, but like let me try to answer briefly and also take an example of actually what is going to happen with the workforce, right? Yes, I mean we have seen AI replacing a lot of the human jobs, right? And this is going to continue. And right now the layoffs are actually mostly in the tech world, and also some of the large e-commerce companies with a lot of operation also have started replacing humans with AI. So is this a cause of concern? Yes. But is it going to be the end of the job? Like at least from what I see, that is not going to be the case. Now, necessarily the jobs are going to shift from some of the routine and mundane things which actually people do on a day-to-day basis to very highly skilled one, right? Like if you look at the basics of the managerial accounting, one of the things that every company or the managers like who manage this budget actually they think is that there is an infinite number of work, but there's a limited resource. How do I prioritize the work which actually I can do with the limited resource and within the limited budget, right? And now that is going to change. So a lot of businesses, while they may shed some leaves in the beginning, then they may actually start acquiring new leaves, which may be highly skilled ones. And there is an opportunity for every workforce to basically transform into that. And in this, the same amount of people can actually start producing more and more work, and even it will also create a lot of new job streams. If I were to take a quick analogy of or a metaphor, right? I would suggest the audience to basically look at something called a Choluteca Bridge on Honduras, right? So to give a quick background around that, Honduras has a river called Choluteca. It's pronounced as Choluteka. And every year during the hurricane, I think Hurricane Mitch or something, I don't remember. So the bridge used to basically wash away. And I think somewhere in 1990s, they partnered with a Japanese construction company and spent millions of dollars to build build this actually beautiful bridge, which could be all-weather bridge. And come next hurricane, I think it was somewhere around 97 or 98. What happened was that there was this hurricane and everything washed away except for this bridge. This bridge actually stood as per its reputation, right? But now the most unfortunate thing was that the river changed the course as part of this hurricane, and there was no river below the bridge, but like it actually just bypassed and right, it changed the course. So now is the time for the engineers who are coming out of the college or even the skilled workers to like understand this Choluteca Bridge metaphor. And this is the moment when AI is going to change a lot of things. So we may do a lot of courses, education, degree, masters, and doctorate and whatnot, and AI may actually change that. So this is something which is very important to understand and be more agile and be in our career and actually like start thinking about like how we are going to work in this AI era. That's all I want to add to this, Jayant.
No, that's a great analogy. I love the Chalatika Bridge analogy, Raghvendra. I've seen the pictures of it. It's an amazing analogy. So with this, I'm sure we will have much richer conversation. So feel free to look us up when you are at NITKonnect. Would love to meet you in person. I don't think we have time. So Anuj, you can probably take questions for 5 minutes or
I
how
think
long?
as much as you want, I think the audience has been very sticky to us and they've been sharing a lot of
No,
very good insights as well as
absolutely.
very, very meaningful questions. I'm
Yeah,
finding it very, very hard to dismiss any questions, but looks like we might have to choose a few and probably answer the remaining offline.
sure.
That's what I think the panel will appreciate. The people will audience will appreciate. So we look forward to you guys to decide which ones to take and which ones to not. But
Sure.
the forum is quite open. We have very, very nice questions across.
Absolutely. I'm looking at the questions. I'll probably pick them up in some random orders, right? Random order. So there was a question. I think it's pertaining to Atmanirbharta. So and maybe I will ask any one of you can take this. Can you highlight what are the India specific AI use cases that companies are working on? Something that is very unique to India. So any one of you can pick that up. Please go for it.
I can pick one, I'll start and maybe others can add, Jayant. One of the use cases which, I am aware of, which is being built is in the medical, side, which is called Vaidya, VAIDYA Fractal is the organization that's building, and it's not a replacement for doctors, but, I think I heard about it that, it is one of India's first multimodal medical large language model. And it can take inputs from, text as well as images. You can upload your health reports and also I think medical field probably is one area where I know there's a lot of work happening around that. I've also heard about a legal large language model. I don't remember the company name, but even that's happening. And I know Raghavendra spoke about Krutrim. Krutrim is, I think, one of the first models which was trained on the India data sets, leveraging our, I think, language diversity as well. So I think those are some of the models, large language models, which I have heard of, which probably are being built from a use case perspective.
And maybe just to add to that, there are many the new implementation which are happening, right? I think one of them on the medical field, since Amit talked about that, Apollo has also built a clinical intelligence system, so which basically helps again, it does not replace the doctors, which is very important to understand. It basically aids the doctors to like build based on the history of the patient who is coming in. And also like it asks like if you use Apollo 24/7 and you try to take an appointment, it asks for a few symptoms and so on. It builds a nice narrative of the summary and also looks at all the past visits and like even the prescriptions, what were given, what were the symptoms and so on. And it builds that actual intelligence when the patient is sitting in front of the doctor gets that like complete thing. So they don't need to go through everything and ask the questions, right? It helps improve the doctor's productivity so that they can take more. And what it also does is it actually ranks the doctor, scores the doctors based on the prescription that they have actually provided. Like it says that what could have been done better. This is specifically used for the visiting or the consulting doctors who are probably not as good as some of their like long-term doctors, like in terms of the quality, right? It helps them basically retrain themselves in certain areas where it could be done differently. So how Apollo did this? Apollo basically trained the custom trained the model basically like using their own set of data, millions of prescriptions and all of that, whatever they had digitized. So they were able to leverage that to basically build this one.
Great examples, something that we can take elsewhere as well. There's a great question, and probably I'll ask Avinash to answer this. Is building a large language model a realistic aim for India, or should we focus more on application growth, given that's our bread and butter? Also, given the fact that we don't do a lot of, we've not done foundational, which is, I think, cutting edge work as this person means in the previous waves of technology, do we necessarily have the kind of talent pool within India? I mean, we know we have Indians who do this, but do we have a talent pool within India which can actually do this kind of work? And of course, I will add to it, also the expense that goes towards building and training and maintaining a large language model is also not is not cheap, and one has to also think of the return on investment too, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I believe, India has the talent pool to do anything, right? So the people you see who are eminent in these fields in the US are just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's like thousands, if not millions of people underneath who can do this. I think, some of what ISRO has done, I think you can draw inspiration from that, right? So one could have made very similar arguments, for why India cannot go to the moon or how much the expense is going to be and so on and so forth. There are certain things that you cannot work around, like things cost how much ever they cost, but there's also a lot of other room for like innovation. I saw a lot of references to whether we can do jugadu things. I mean, I think the lesson is never underestimate like what can be done with jugad. I think sometimes it's when you set these lofty goals and say this is actually what we want to do, it just inspires a lot of innovation, and say like, okay, what needs to happen in order for us to accomplish this? What are some of the assumptions that have been made? So my sense on that very briefly is I think India can do it. I think at some point India will do it. And when it does happen, it will look rather different from how US has done it and how China has done it. And we'll put our own Indian spin on how these things actually happen. And I really look forward to the day when that is the case.
I look forward to a Jugadu LLM, Avinash. It would be a wonderful achievement for us. On a similar line, and maybe this is a question to you, Ketan. We spoke about, and you made a brilliant point about the Atmanirbharta across the four pillars, right? And one pillar was hardware and chips, because that's going to basically be the nerve center of AI, or for that matter, technology, AI more so. Given that it is a extremely specialized, it's a specialized business, needs huge amount of investments, a very highly skilled and a highly trained, skilled workforce. How do we, as a nation, bridge this gap? Because we are pretty much at this point in time importing any hardware and every hardware that we need. And for us to go from where we are today to be self-reliant or Atmanirbhar, where we're going to be manufacturing our own chips, is akin to climbing the Mount Everest in probably a day. So how do we do this? How do we achieve this? And of course, I mean, Jugaad is one, but maybe some points from your experience.
For sure, like Avinash was saying, there are a lot of Indians who can do pretty much anything, right? So it's not a question of talent. I keep interacting with folks from Walmart offices back in India. They're hands down one of the smartest people that I've worked with, right? So that innate, that inherent talent base is there, Giant, and we are seeing a shift in the larger Indian manufacturing space. Apple has started production in India, and we all know that those are one of the most precise parts in the electronics industry. The Indian government has started actively encouraging semiconductor manufacturing and plants, and there are multiple companies who are building the capabilities to enable that. So we just need to extend that to building our own chips, our own GPUs. It's not going to be easy, right? We've got to have the energy for it. We've got to have the policies towards it. The talent is already there. It just needs to be redirected towards the same direction.
Yeah. Hey, one quick thing I want to add, right? Apart from the optimism and the patriotism and stuff. So I think part of why this is all sort of framed as something that is really hard to do is that it's an arms race, and essentially there's a bunch of people who believe scaling very expensive compute and just adding, like if you look at OpenAI, they want to spend $1.4 trillion just on acquiring hardware and so on and so forth. I think one important thing to keep in mind is that is one way this could evolve, but that doesn't have to be. There is a lot of people who are actually working on research breakthroughs which might enable us to train these models with much less compute. This is the very first version of actually like what has happened, right? If you look at computing as a whole, and if you go back to the 1960s and you looked at how big a computer was, and if you told somebody, hey, one day, hundreds of millions of Indians are going to have access to computers like this, right? If you imagine the ENIAC that filled the whole room, then it was probably not going to happen, right? So what happened with the technology is that it evolved and it became more compact and more efficient, and that's actually how it became more pervasive. So I very much think there's a chance here that the way India is going to win, and this is partly why I alluded to the ISRO mission, is not by doing exactly what OpenAI is doing and spending $1 trillion in hardware, but in actually investing in much more efficient ways of doing this, which don't need the same kind of investment in computing and power. And because there's a necessity for a country like India to do that, there's a chance for us to be pioneers in that kind of innovation. And that is actually what I'm optimistic about. And it doesn't have to be the way that the US has done it.
That's a fantastic point. Uh, I know we have to wind this up. We could go probably the whole night speaking about AI and what it can do. Fascinating conversation. So Amit, my last question to you, and before we leave, I have something very special. So this is on talent. So a lot of questions on talent, but one question that probably is on everybody's mind is, as you look to hire what I would call as new gen or new age talent, which is going to be an AI first talent or an AI driven talent. What are some of the characteristics that you're going to see in the talent that you will want to hire? And importantly, what is it that you would want educational institutions like NITK to essentially train and build talent on, so that they become AI ready and basically, follow what we said here, transform Bharat.
Yeah. Great question, Jayant. Technology and, skills keep changing, right? It keeps evolving, and it has, right? All of us passed out from the college with certain skills, acquired many others, right? So one of the things that I personally look at, when we are hiring, folks, is curiosity, right? You need to have that curiosity and the attitude and the aptitude to solve problems, right? Irrespective of the technology. So I'm giving you an answer, Jayant, which is not a AI answer, right? But those are the skills which we definitely look at. Right. And then obviously you evaluate folks on, the skills that you're looking at, right? Could be technical skills related to the field that they're going to work in, could be AI, could be software engineering, and so on, right? Um, your second part of question regarding NITK, right? I think our institute has been a great institute. It has evolved over a period of time. And I know somebody was telling that we also have a AI, engineering branch now. We also have information technology, and information technology probably came earlier. And as I think the industry world, I think now probably we have AI with different kind of specializations on, info security, and so on, right? Even data sciences. Um, I feel, with so much happening around AI and with this shift from 0 to 1 that has happened, and all of us, during our first year, I think we all of us study the same subjects, right? It has your math, physics, and so on, right? I think AI currently probably sits somewhere where it is a elective. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to, include that as one of the core subjects where, irrespective of your stream, you end up learning some part of this because you will end up using it, irrespective of which branch you come from. That's one. Second, with AI, we spoke a lot about, ethics, biasness, and the human element, right? So some part of humanity within engineering, I think, will make sense so that we can understand the nuances, with respect to that. Those two things, plus, all the industry, partnership and collaboration and some practical experience, all of that, I think, happens naturally. So if I have to pick top three, these will be my top three, Jayant, and I leave the rest with our, honorable professors at NITK. But these are the top three that I will probably go for.
No, that's fantastic. I think some things don't go out of fashion, which is curiosity, learnability. It doesn't matter whether you're in the AI world or any other world. Uh, One last section before we hand it over to our organizers. I cannot not have a panel discussion without a rapid fire. So what I would urge each of my panelists to do is describe AI for Bharat in one word. So we're going to start with you, Amit. So go for it.
I think one word, if I have to use, it's amplifier.
Great. Raghavendra?
I think I would call it an opportunity.
And Avinash?
I would say it's an equalizer.
Fantastic. And Ketan?
I'd say it's transformational.
Wow. Amazing. With that, I would like to thank you all for this fascinating conversation. Personally, I learned a lot from each one of you, and I'm quite confident that with the energy that we have here in this room and with the energy that's there elsewhere, there is no way Bharat is going to be left behind in the AI race. I look forward to seeing all of you in NITKonnect in person, and we're going to have many more conversations on AI, and they're going to be all very fascinating. So with that, let me hand it back to Anuj. Anuj, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. So please take it over.
Sure. Thank you so much. All, I think, wonderful conversations. Wow. I mean, super impressed with the context which has been created. To me, all of you said it right. AI is going to be imperative. AI is going to be a great leveler. It's going to be transformational. And I think it's going to be very, very important for us to have AI. And I think we had some very wonderful questions, very wonderful queries which came across. And I think it was very important that we, even if we couldn't actually cover it, we'll probably try and make sure we get it answered offline. Now I know there is an NITKonnect which is gonna happen, and I'm gonna talk a lot more about it. But thank you so much, guys. Really, really wonderful having you. Really appreciate you guys taking time out. We had a breadth of people who come from different time zones. We had someone who was waking up so early. We have someone who is uh, probably awake very, very late. So thank you so much for contributing so much. And I think building Bharat for AI would be very, very important part of our core theme in the main day when we take it up. Uh, Thank you so much for that. And for audience, I know you are all wanting to hurry up. Probably some of you want to catch up for dinner. Someone probably want to have breakfast. But before we get under to next thing, we have the second virtual connect, which will happen on 13th of December. We have a very interesting entrepreneurial panel coming in for this. We will talk about from India to the world, building global company with local wisdom. We are probably it's going to be a very interesting session. We'll share an exact link, exact timing very soon. But I'm hoping to see all of you guys joining us for that. Uh, as we move on, I think it's important for all of us to keep reaching out, keep passing on all the learnings, all the things which are happening around the event. So I would request everyone to follow us on our LinkedIn page. We have mentioned the QR code. You can take your mobile camera on and scan the QR code. You will directly redirect yourself to the LinkedIn page of NIT Connect so that all of you are really, really updated about what's really happening in NIT Connect. We also have the scan to register link. It opens nitkonnect.com for all of you to go ahead and register. Just to let you know, there is an early bird offer going on. We aren't free of cost, but I think we have tried to make it as discounted as possible because we also have sponsors backing us. Grateful, always grateful to all our sponsors backing us. So be sure you register. I look forward to seeing all of you, even if you are not right now in Bangalore, not in India. Look forward to seeing you all at NIT Connect 2026, and I'm sure it's going to be a great event. Thank you so much, everyone.